Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Magic and Wisdom of Essential Oils here with my buddy Joseph Carter and I. And we have a special guest, Jennie King, today. Sorry for all the technical difficulties, but we're still here. So if you got the message on Facebook and you're here, that's amazing. Merja is here. Hi, Merja. Um, all right, so let's kick off this party. I am so excited to bring my dear friend and colleague, Jennie King, on today. Our dear friend and colleague. She is a licensed acupuncturist. And are you level 2 now in aromatherapist or?
No, I haven't written my paper.
Okay, she's almost a level 2 aromatherapist. Um, and she just published a new card deck called the Lunar Love Deck. And I've been sleeping and dreaming with this little deck for the last week. Well, since I got it I guess it was last week. Anyway, we're going to be playing with this idea of dancing with the lunar magic. So, I don't know. I think I'm just going to turn it over. This is sort of an organic
Like,
meeting today. Joseph, how are you feeling today?
well, where is the moon right now? And what
Yeah.
should I
Right.
do with it?
Well, let's back up because I want to show you a little card. I don't know if anybody here speaks tarot, but I speak in image. Like I feel like I with being ADHD, like my being speaks in images and broad information and archetypes, which is why I love the moon. But I always want to show you this little card. It's the High Priestess card and the
Uh-huh.
tarot.
Cute.
And the High Priestess is the one who holds the wisdom of the moon. And this is the Monstero, and it's like a little monster and it's playful. And I love this image because not only are we stepping into the High Priestess, the moon also helps us tap into, our bigger wisdom, but also our inner child and our inner mother too, because it's like how we mother ourselves, how we tap into our wisdoms, but then also how we go back and we repattern and remother our little children too. So there's so much mystery in that place when we turn our gaze inward. And the High Priestess is our anchor to help us embody that. So I just wanted to start us off with an image to start off our sacred play, right? Because that's what lunar exploration is. That's what essential oils and acupoints are. They're sacred play. They're places where we go to um, metabolize our life. There are places where we go where we step into our creativity. There are places where we go to step into archetypal energies, the ones that that have our back, the ones that create depth in our life, the ones that where we when we stumble in our forward facing world that we can lean back into to find the wings of support. And so this lunar love deck is a way to engage in sacred play. And I love, I know Angela and Joseph from our essential oil explorations. And I think most people here are in this podcast know this language, right? This way of sacred play and that way to dance. I call it dancing with your beautiful self. You're standing on earth and you are like, you've got the sun, the moon, but the earth beneath you. And then you've got this plant spirits and they're helping you dance. They're helping you step into more of your bigger and broader self outside of the daily life, which can be, it's our solar life. So it can kind of get bright or it can kind of squeeze you tight and you get a little, like, it has this sort of like, it's always on and it can create this like tension and like tightness in our bodies and our minds and our spirits. And so again, sacred play is where we get to lean back into that high priestess place. It's a little place where you step back and you take perspective, you get a bigger, broader perspective and you deepen. So as we begin,
I love the fact that we've got 8 phases of the moon to explore the different aspects of ourself. With that inner reflection with the help of the oils and the points. And
absolutely.
I mean, we're just scratching the surface on this today because this is a big, beautiful subject. And I really want to invite people to have this deck and to play with all these different aspects of yourself throughout the month, and then get to do it over and over again and go a little bit deeper each time. So that's the other beautiful part about this.
Yes, 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 yes. And again, with the oils and points, like any of these practices, it's always there for you. So what I'd like to invite us to do is just lean back into your spine a little bit and find your seat. Because that's how we're gonna step into our yin space, right? And you can even close your eyes a little bit. Okay. So I'm remembering that the sun is our yang space. It's our outwardly facing self. So now we're turning into our down and in, that yin space, and our back body. You can even imagine it almost like you're downshifting. Or if you're walking really fast, what happens when you step back into your heels and your sacrum and your sit bones and the back of your head, like just really feeling your spine and how it supports you. And then I want you to place one hand on your chest. I want to feel your heartbeat. And as you feel your heartbeat, open the crown of your head and invite the solar energy down into the crown of your head and into your heart. In Chinese medicine, the emperor is the sun, which is your heart. So feeling that emperor sitting right in the center of your chest. Now, connecting with your breath, that's the lunar energy. Imagine, not even imagine, just feel the breath as you inhale, feel that expansion. And as you exhale, that contraction. And if you'd like, you can take your hands to like your heart now in a prayer position. Continuing with that expansion and contraction. And then on your next inhale, you're going to bring your hands out. So expanding with your body and your hands. This is the waxing moon. And as you exhale, we're going to bring our hands in for the contraction or the waning moon. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale. If you feel yourself getting too heady, just lean back into your spine again. Exhale. And on your next inhale, we're going to feel into where we are right now in the lunar cycle. So as you bring your hands open, halfway is the waxing quarter moon. And as we get almost to the full, we're getting to the gibbous stage. That's where we are right now. And then if you keep going, it's the full moon. That's super moon. So you could even spread your hands out to represent that. And then after that, exhale. There'll be a contraction. And we're going to just do that one more time. Just because now you know where we are and you can kind of feel into that space, see how it feels as you inhale, feel how it feels as you expand your hands out. Waxing at half, gibbous as we start to move towards fullness. We're not quite there. You can feel yourself almost arriving. And then as your wings, your arms spread out, we're at the full moon. And then exhale. Bring it all the way back to your center, to your chest. And then just let your hands rest on your heart again. Tapping into your spine, leaning back. And then just rub your hands together. We're going to build some chi. And I always like to rub my face in my head. That's part of Qigong. You're just waking up your senses. These are our clear orifices. And when our spirit is shining bright, we start to see our eyes. So if you can even feel and see the difference in people's eyes from when we began to now. But we're going to keep going. So, Joseph, you asked what phase we're in. We're in the gibbous moon phase. And so hopefully now you have a body felt sense of what the gibbous moon phase is. And so let's play with that. So I have, the deck has, it's 60 cards and there's a lot of like instruction cards, but there's 40 cards that are specific to each of the phases. And there's 5 cards for each phase. And in that, we talk about what the energy is and how it continues. And so what we have here is the gibbous moon phase is the phase of, again, it's like after the waxing quarter, which is that one that you see, it looks like it has a stark line down it. And then gibbous means, it means hump. So it's like when you see that, like, that's a little bit of darkness. It's like pregnant, it almost looks pregnant, like it's tipping towards something. But as you can imagine, I don't know if Joseph, I know you haven't had children, but at that moment you have children, but there's that moment during pregnancy, you work with tons of women, where it's like the baby's not there yet, but there's this feeling of fullness of like, oh, like, yes.
Fruit on the vine.
Like
yes.
this one.
Yes, and that one too. And so there's that feeling of fullness, and a lot of times, but when that feeling of fullness, there's this like a little bit of agitation, and it's chi stagnation, right? There's that chi stagnation as something grows and you're still stepping over maybe some obstacles, or it's just like you're adjusting into that bigger phase of the vision that we're walking. And I also like to call it when you get your panties in a bunch, right? That's the feeling. You get your panties in a bunch. It's that feeling. And so that's how you know you might want to use this oil and point. And if you've been playing with the oils and points, and if you haven't, that's fine too. But I know I'm speaking to an elevated audience here, right? Who've had these conversations and have relationships with oils and points already. And so the oil and point that I chose for this phase is blue tansy on liver 3. And the archetype that I picked for this is the free and easy wanderer, which is actually a Chinese medicine formula, which is for when your panties are in a bunch, for that liver chi stagnation. So we're gonna this is the oil equivalent of the free and easy wanderer formula in Chinese medicine. And that formula, what it does is it nourishes, but also moves the chi. So we're gonna take blue tansy. And if you have your oil, bring it out.
I love this oil.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. And this is like the point, like in Chinese medicine, for every acupuncturist, it's part of the 4 gates, and which moves all the chi and blood in the body. And it's like that one that everybody, like if you've had acupuncture, you've probably had this point at some point, right, Joseph?
Oh, yeah. And you know that you had that point.
We can confidently say that.
Yes.
So it's a power. So that speaks to the power of the point, right? That speaks to the power of this point. So feeling, sensing, and I love blue tansy because it's blue. It's like that watery color. It brings serenity. It's like the flow of the river, right? And so we're going to just place a drop on our finger, index finger, and then divide it between your fingers. And then we're going to put it in our liver 3 acupoint. I don't know if you could see that there, but on the body, it's between the first and second toe, and there's a valley there. We're in the valley.
Yeah. If this was the big toe and this was the second to biggest toe, that would be liver 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture.
Same point.
Lots of examples. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is kind of where liver 4 is too, right? On the hand.
Mm-hmm.
In a way. So yeah. We're really putting our point down, our finger down. I don't know if you can hear, there's a thunderstorm outside. It's rattling my windows. I don't know if you can hear that. It's crazy. All right. And then again, we're going to turn our gaze inward. and we're going to set this down. And the liver channel is the channel of visioning. It's our life force. It's our spring energy. It's the energy of growth. And this is the earth point. So we're actually anchoring that growth back down so it's not rising too fast. At some point, you'll feel yourself shift, settle, and change. Just noticing what you feel, or any images that come in. We're fostering flow. And at this point in the cycle, like what needs a little push? Where can you invite an ease to keep moving? If blue tansy was the free and easy wanderer, like almost like a court jester or child or playful energy, where can you bring in play? A little bit of delight or laughter or just silliness or creativity. And when you're ready, you can release it. I have a little pro tip for that point too, if you're flexible enough. And maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but you can also, I'm sorry, I'm a bendy Wendy. So this is your liver 3. And then when you're touching it, you can also touch the kidney 1, because that will help anchor that point back. And if you can't touch kidney 1, don't worry. But you could start by rubbing your feet on the floor and then touch that to set that intention, because we were dancing, right? We're dancing, but when you dance, you want to be also connected to the earth.
Would you want to use just that as an acupressure point, that kidney 1, or were you suggesting to put the blue tansy on that as well? Just to clarify.
Well,
Why not?
Well, I mean, it's sacred play. So I would say, I mean, this isn't like I'm teaching you something. This is I am teaching you something, but here's the piece about sacred play. I'm now handing this to you. And I'm giving you a suggestion of putting that on your hand there. But what would happen if you used the blue tansy on the bottom? Like, that's part of the fun. Like, does it change? Does it maybe spiral that dance energy and take it into the earth? And all of a sudden you're like, the crystals and the microbes and stuff light up and start to come up and like move through you too. I don't know. Like, that's part of the fun of and the mystery of the moon, because we're opening that question of the divine feminine and the like potential of not knowing, and like asking a question and see what wants to dance. So I love that suggestion, Angela. I hadn't done it that way before, but I'm going to try that and see what happens. Maybe you guys want to do that too.
Well, and I love that that's the whole premise behind acuaromatherapy for me, is that we grow this body of work by sharing our individual experiences to give other people ideas like, oh, I could try that and I might want to explore that. And again, being playful and getting to learn yourself a little bit better. So yeah,
Mhm.
that all plays right in there.
And it's a collective learning, it's a collective unconsciousness that we're all tapping into, and it's a collective conversation.
Mhm.
And the thing I love about the moon and the oils and the points is they are universal languages, right? We've got people here from all over the world. And we may not speak the same common language verbally, but these languages are the ones that connect us and make us part of this human family standing here on this earth, right? Because we're all looking at the same moon, and we're looking at the same moon our ancestors looked at, and we're looking at the same moon that our children's will also like look at, and their children's children. So these are archetypal energies that
Right,
remind us, to help us remember who we are
right.
inside and how big and expansive the energy around us is.
The sacred play and dance. Um, Dance like no one's watching.
Mhm.
Sing like no one's listening. That kind of stuff. The embodiment of point and oil and phase.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, the I mean, if I want to know the phase of the moon, I have an app on my iPad and I can look it up and I can say that it's 84% gibbous,
Yeah.
right?
Which is
But
awesome, by the way. If you have an iPhone, put that feature on your phone.
yeah. And I kind of now I have a sense of what 84 going on 85% gibbous is feeling like right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
Okay. I love this exercise, the back and forth prayer pose. All right.
Mhm.
And then that little bit out there, which is not 100 in full, which is super moon and lunar eclipse coming. I'm feeling into that,
Yeah.
and um, the agitation of in an animal world, full moon is a very powerful reproductive time, but also a dangerous time if you might be in the predator prey cycle, right? So there should be some level of awareness that maybe sometimes I'm going to call agitation, but it's just there's so much information coming in. How do I work with that?
Yeah,
Well, I was going to say I'm even taking it back into a smaller place. Because I was noticing as I was about to get on here, like I could feel like the fullness is this conversation, right? It's this fullness of like I've been working to kind of gather my supplies and all of this, and I could feel that energy rising as I come in here, and I was like, oh, and this is where the lunar play and knowing the phases comes in, because I was thinking this is that feeling of building towards fullness. Like now I'm sitting in the fullness, but that anticipation, I was like, whoa. And I laughed to myself. I'm like, this is the gibbous moon. So what do I do with this? How do I lean back? How do I like dance it? How can I go down into that liver 3 point? Let me put the oil and point on. And it made me giggle a little bit because I was like, because it took me back into a little bit of a giggle space of like, oh, Jenny, you're so silly. This is what you're teaching today. Like, of course you're feeling this. And so it was just like, it was a reminder for me. These are reminders of our humanness and energies and like how we can like take them in and use them to support us. And also like we get so like mental about things, and because we're all supposed to be experts in doing these things, and then it's like, oh yeah, we have allies. And then the perspective is what gives us the opportunity to change or shift or reframe something so that it's more supportive and not like squeezing the life out of us.
yeah, those oils and points for me allow me to step back and look at the situation and say, oh yeah. And with that blue tansy, it's gonna bring some play into it. It's gonna put you in a giggle space.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. And
Mhm.
and that feels more natural to me than to be in that hyper vigilant agitated space of that gibbons where I can go, oh, this is why I'm feeling this way, and
Mhm.
how can I help to shift that as we come into the fullness.
Yeah, it's like a medicine for that space.
It
It's your
is.
free and easy wanderer, you know, tincture in an oil form. And I love what Marja just said. The free and easy wanderer on it's actually liver 3, but I know what you're talking about, and kidney 1 are especially for some great for beautiful, especially for someone with a nomadic lifestyle who actually looks to anchor into the moon and the sun and the stars. And I know Marja is a fellow lunar lover. She and I exchange messages around this often. And yes, and I can feel that because it's when we work with the oils and the points in the moon, it works with our somatic body, right? And when you're constantly moving from place to place, it's almost like a little bit of a Shen disturbance or a spirit disturbance, because it's like you're like moving, like it's we like move too fast now with airplanes to get to another place, whereas you used to like walk or drive or whatever. And so our animal bodies have a harder time, our somatic bodies have a harder time catching up. So yes, using this and especially with that kidney 1 to ground, and with the intention of bringing our heart back into the center of the space too, in that to reground. And just having gone through a huge move from state to state, I'm still in that place of trying to like calm my somatic body in a new place. So oils and points, the moon, all of those things help us come back to our body. Again, it's medicine, moon medicine. Thank you, Marcia, for your comment.
Well, I love how there's it's a musicality to it. Play. Like when a musician is practicing, they're working. When they're playing, they're playing. All right. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that they're happy playing, but they're involved with the feeling and moving the feeling.
Yeah.
All right. Embodied and flowing. There's that word again. And again, that's one of those things. Liver 3 is, and Xiao Yao, the formula, the relaxed and easy wanderer, are all about I'm on the journey and I'm moving.
With resources, because it's nourishing and moving. And that's another piece I want to bring to the lunar cycle too, because we live in the society and we just look to the trajectory up and we're just like squeezing all of our resources out. So of course we're feeling agitated because we're not nourished or anchored or whatever. And when we get to these places, I would invite us to stay, even here, imagine like we're like leaning into our computers, right? Even when we're in a space of like forward movement, remembering to step and lean back into your back body, to anchor down into your pelvis, to have a more measured pace so that you're not using all your resources to get to the top. Because the yin and yang, remember that symbol it grows, but it's never disconnected from its resources. It's never disconnected from its source. And by the time you get to the top, you still have the essence of yin and the maximum yang at the full moon, right? And so there is that piece of staying connected and the interchangeable and interconnected aspect of yin and yang, of rooted and reaching. And I think that again is the beauty of the moon and working
One
with
of the other really cool features that I like that you have in these phases is that you've got the inquiry card and the tiny ritual card. And I think for me, just the limited time that I've had with the deck, is that that's the piece that pulls it together to bring it into your own daily practice during that phase.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. So, a lot of lunar practices focus more on the manifestation aspect of the lunar cycle, which is absolutely a valid and perfect destination. And you can do that with these cards. But my intention with this was, instead of spiraling out into manifestation, to spiral inward into our depths, into that feminine mystery, into the inquiries and the potential of what's inside of us. Like we're almost turn our gaze inward to awaken. And so the helping you understand, so each one has there's 5 cards for each phase, and I anchor into the position just so you can kind of understand where the moon is in the sky at that time. Even you can look at your iPhone, but then it has a little bit more about that. And then the energy invitation of that phase, so you understand it as where it is in the cycle so that you can kind of get the orientation, because again, it's not devoid from that. And then the oil and point, to do the oil and point, and then go into a sacred inquiry, because that's where you spiral into the energy invitation. And that's where, they talk about, we always talk about fight or flight, right? Like that fight, flight, or freeze. And maybe you've heard this, or maybe you haven't, but women, when they're stressed, they tend to befriend, right? We tend to befriend. And so using the moon as your place to tend to befriend yourself. Like that is like what I feel like that spiral inward is you go in and you tend to befriend, you open up the questions, you look, again, you're looking at the subterranean beauty of what you don't get to see when you're moving so fast in the external world. So that's really the intention behind the deck, is to come back and befriend yourself and find yourself wherever you are, because it's a practice to get present and a practice to check in and see and metabolize. And then, and then you could write, you could free write, you can draw tarot cards, you can I have I can't draw very well, but I like stickers, and I will create whole scenes with stickers and images, and, just to get me out of my mental space and back into my heart and back into my body. And the more practices we have for that, the more we stay on track with our own internal compass, because then the moon becomes a compass for us to be able to figure out where we are in space and time, so that each step that we take from those places is more aligned with all of us, our wholeness, really. And that's kind of the practice. So the tiny ritual is taking the oil and point and then taking it one step further. So for the gibbous moon phase, it's about, it's that free and easy wander. It's about moving through the obstacles. It's about liver 3, unbinds any sort of stuck energy. And then the invitation here for the tiny ritual is to play music and move your body, right? And so kind of figure out which, put it on there and just figuring what direction is ease and flow, what obstacles are in your way and how can you step over them? Maybe who meets you on the path when you're in a place of who meets you on the path? And I know you do ecstatic dance, Joseph, but I'm sure it's that feeling of who am I going to dance with? Who's going to dance with me? And feeling into that place of play. And it could be a spirit guide or a deity or whoever you have that supports you. It doesn't have to be an actual person. It could be anything bigger that supports you. And then how might you dance with that being or that idea or whatever the new thing that arises when you listen to move through obstacles and start to dance. So that's the tiny ritual for the gibbous moon phase.
Nice.
And
And have a little anointing there too, to sort of reignite your vision as you're coming into ease and flow. So, yeah.
And I like to, and this is probably bigger than the scope of kind of what we're talking about, and this is part of the sacred play, but for the intention setting at the waxing crescent, I have frankincense on the third eye on Yin Tong. And if you think about the liver energy is our life force that's rising. It's the dragon. It's the one that's it can dream and go out, and it's big, and it's but the hard part is actually bringing it in and working the earth to bring it into form. And so when we have the vision, this is the vision, right? This is the vision. And then the earth point on the liver channel is the one that helps you anchor the vision in, again, step by step. But when we get to the place where it's getting full, we get you can put that blue tansy on liver 3, but then you could even start the practice with frankincense here to reignite and step back into the vision. And then you create this little triangle between your third eye and your feet. And it's another way to dance it. Again, this is part of that play. There's so many ways to go with it, but
and that's, really helping to that frankincense, even on just the one point, is helping to balance all the chakras. It has that beautiful ability. So it is going all the way back down to that, that earth point and that liver point. So I do feel like that helps to contain that energy a little bit, sort of, soothe it, massage it,
Yeah, because if you think about like when you're rising and things start to grow, they get a little like they get the energy. Rising energy is fast, right? You think about it, it's rising, it gains energy, and it's fast, and it's blah, 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 blah. And I'm diagnosed ADHD my whole life, and so like for me, putting frankincense here is like, who am I? What am I doing? Like it's that reminder of like, oh, it turns on that frontal cortex again for me. And then it also goes into my somatic body, soothing it, allowing me to downshift. Again, I always feel like I feel like I put the oils and points on or do qigong or any of this practice. I'm like, you know, I'm back. I'm back in my body. I'm back in alignment with my chakras. I'm back into that space of autonomy and presence and listening to what my next step should be.
You've talked about like that first time that you had aroma or aroma point therapy. And when was it bergamot on ear shenmen where you just like, I'm right back in my body?
I think it was actually vetiver.
Was it vetiver? Okay.
It was vetiver. And actually yes. And I've done that with patients too. And they've just been like, I didn't even know what it felt like to be in my body. Like, they're like, whoa. Is that what it feels like? They're like, God, it is. And no, I think what I'm talking about is actually having kidney one needled at one point. I had it needled and I felt my spirit go. And it landed and it was just like, I was a different person. There was a before and after my life from before I knew what feeling grounded felt like and what grounded didn't feel like. And I do feel like the oils and points that can have that action to put us back into our physical body, you know, where you're feeling like you're not here, but you're actually sitting behind your eyes and in your body. And you're like, you know, hopefully, you know what that connected feeling feels like. But it requires slowing down. That's the hardest part.
Well, there's a tend to befriend oneself.
Mm-hmm.
By slowing down, by stepping. I like that. You know, when you're stumbling forward, lean back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a very kinesthetic piece, and definitely I use it on the dance floor.
Yes, yes, yes. And I learned that from Thea Elijah, who's a 5-element practitioner who really does. I mean, she's like, oh, she knows how to like bring that in and that leaning back. And you're leaning back into your do channel. You're leaning back into your spine. You're leaning back into the mystery and your nervous system. You're leaning back into your nervous system instead of, you know, this is your vision. You know, we're so focused on our vision all the time that we're like just leaning forward. And we're like, so.
Which is all the more reason to work with that liver channel too.
It's all the more reason to step into the center of your life and look around and see where you really are, right? And to get back into your body. And your body is the earth and connect down. You know, then you can open up to the sun, the moon, and the stars. And that brings me back to my first point is anytime you step into a practice where you are examining your internal life, the first step is always to come back into your body, to ground, to feel your pelvis, to feel the ground underneath you, stepping into your breath, right? That expansion and contraction, the bellows of your life, of that constant movement. And you know, that's getting into the moon is when you get back into your body. It's in the listening practice. And then you can just open up and start ask questions or put an oil in point. Use an oil in point. But the moon wants us to be in our body. She's our mama.
It does.
She's our wise teacher.
Do you have anything else to add to this today? Any other thoughts? This has been beautiful.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I just want to read this poem that's in the deck. I'll end with this. I think it'll be a good one. And it's make music. So imagine the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to. Giles Andre. So make some music. Dance with your beautiful self.
I want to thank everybody for being here today. I also want to thank Merja and Roxandra for always contributing and sharing in the Therapy Enthusiasts Facebook group and participating and always wanting to learn more. I think a fun thing to do. First of all, let's see. when I repost the recording, I'll also get that link from Jennie so people can purchase the deck. But I think to end this today, we need to get up and dance with our beautiful selves as we send this whole thing out. Okay, can you all do that? Just to honor you and honor where you're at.
You can turn your camera off if it feels weird.
Yeah,
I
don't turn your camera
to do
off.
that. I'm like all of a sudden I'm like super shy.
Me, I'm just gonna warm it up and just go.
All right, we get started. Joseph's used to this stuff. I kind of am, but I usually need to go. There we go.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time on the magic and wisdom of essential oils.
Yeah, the magic, the wisdom, and the play.
And the play and your lunar magic. Happy full moon, everyone.
Happy full, give us full.
That's lunacy. Okay.
It's lunacy.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Angela and Joseph, for this opportunity to chat with you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Dance your beautiful dance.
Bye.
Bye.